Good evening, everyone. This is Paula Earhart back again. I've done a couple of simple, basic lessons about family history, but I thought I'd dive right into the deep end and give people the answers they're looking for. We're going to talk tonight about DNA. Everybody's interested in it, everybody wants to test, but what do the results mean? What company should you test with? And are you prepared for the results you might get? Let's talk about a few of those things. Decisions. Which DNA test should you take? There's actually four different tests. There's autosomal, which is the most common. There's Y-DNA, X-DNA, and mitochondrial DNA testing. The answers and which test you should take really depend upon what you're looking for. Are you looking for information on your mother's line? Then a mitochondrial DNA test would be perfect. If you're a man looking to find out, or a woman looking to find out about your dad's side, then you'd want to be a man or find a brother or uncle or dad to take a test for you and do the Y DNA test. Both men and women can take the mitochondrial DNA test, but only men can take the Y. X-DNA can be taken by anyone, and that actually, men get an X chromosome from their fathers, which is passed down unchanged. It's the women who change their X DNA as we pass it down. The autosomal are the other 22 chromosomes, and so those really give us a lot of clues about our family history. So the next thing we want to talk about is which company is best, which test to take. It depends on what you want to find out. Y-DNA, like I said, is only for men and is only on their paternal line. The company that I know that does Y-DNA tests is called Family Tree DNA. The logo is right down here, this orange DNA thing. That's their logo. They're the only ones that I know of that do the Y-DNA. You'd want to start with a 37 point and possibly think of moving up to the 66 or 100 point test to get more details and make sure that your matches are true matches. For mitochondrial DNA, like I said, everyone can take it, but it only follows the maternal line. So if you're a gentleman who wants to find out about your dad's mom, you're out of luck. This is not the test for you. It's only for your mothers, going back as far on that woman's side as you can go. The X-DNA is for everyone, follows the X chromosomes of inheritance. There are some lines that are then therefore eliminated because once it gets to a certain point, it goes away. The AD DNA is for everyone, but keep in mind, you don't inherit all of your parents' DNA, but only about half from each parent. The only people who have identical DNA are identical twins. Everybody else shares only a portion of the same DNA. Okay, ethnicity estimates. Everybody likes to talk about what their DNA says they're from, and some people even like to tie it down to the countries. It is more accurate when you look at the continent level, so like Europe as a continent, rather than a separate country like Poland and Germany and Netherlands, things like that. It's more accurate for the continent level. When I did mine, I was quite upset because it only had 5% maximum for German heritage, and I am very German. So I was quite taken aback by my lack of German heritage, but apparently I got more of my mother's DNA than my father's. DNA compares about 700,000 small nucleoid protein points on the DNA, and they compare those with other people in their DNA databases. So that's how they compare and see who you're related to, where your matches are. Um, they're run through algorithms, and each company has different algorithms. So if you test at one, you might want to download your raw DNA results and then upload it to some of the other sites. Not all of them will allow you to upload. Ancestry and 23andMe do not allow you to upload your DNA, but living DNA and family tree DNA do allow you to upload. So there is that. You don't need to test with every company. Add DNA. So let's find out more about that. That confirms previous traditional research. You've done your document search. Say you've got a brick wall, that might help you get over that brick wall, or at least peek over that wall. It might add new branches to your tree, in that you might find cousins that you did not know existed. Testing theories about your ancestry and relationships, solving unknown parentage mysteries. But beware, this is where surprises come in. We've all heard of adoptees finding their biological parents. Well, there's people who didn't think they were adopted, um, or didn't think that they knew who their mom and dad was. Come to find out, there's a little bit of a hiccup in who somebody's parent was. Okay, so for best results, you want to do your traditional research first. You've got to find out who those lines are that you can compare yourself to, and make sure those cousins or siblings are willing to take the DNA test for you. The DNA is the 22 pairs of non-sex DNA, so it doesn't connect the X or Y. Shared DNA is that portion of the DNA that you share with one or more other people. It's either a percentage, as in the case of Ancestry, or a number of CMs. Those are centimorgans. And that's just how they break down. Like, we've heard of centimeters and inches. Okay, a centimorgan is a measurement of your DNA. Very useful tools. Family Tree DNA has some useful tools. They have a admixture calculator. There's MyHeritage also provides this tool, and 23andMe. Chromosome browsers, which allow you to look at the different DNAs and see where you match with someone. And we're going to go over a couple of those third-party tools in a little bit. Okay, tools to help you solve problems. GEDmatch is a really good one. I actually have them up on my web computer here. Oh, this is not the right one. Hold on just a second, please. Here we go. This is GEDmatch. You can upload your raw data here, and then if you scroll down here a little bit, they have this beautiful one-to-many DNA comparison result and one-to-one autosomal DNA comparison. And you can compare your tests to someone else's and see how you're related, which points of your DNA match with theirs. This is a great tool. It's free to use, so great. A lot of people use it. It's very useful. Another one you can use is this DNA GEDcom. You can upload your raw data here, and you can subscribe to them. And I've not played around a lot with theirs, but there's a lot of autosomal tools right here. There's 23andMe data, family tree, so you can upload from different places and get lots of help. Here's where they do the tree files and things like that to help you manage your DNA matches so that you can figure out where they fall on your tree. Here's DNA Painter, and this gives you tree views and tools and chromosome mapping to help you narrow down those results, because If you're like me, I got over 3,000 matches for second cousins and beyond. And so that's a lot of people to compare with and figure out. And so, like I said, I'm just starting to play with all this myself. It's very interesting and been quite illuminating. One of my favorite places to go, though, is this called Genetic Affairs. And I like what they do here. They take your DNA. If you'll watch see, it's all scattered right there. And then as it works, it puts the different family groups together and color codes them. And so you have like your father's father and your mother's father and yada as you go. It really kind of clarifies which matches, and you can go over the dots and it'll tell you who that is. And so you can figure out which side they're related on. It also lets you do color coding of a family tree, and it seems very easy to get started. This is one I am very eager to play with and have started to play with, but I don't have any screenshots that are privatized yet, so I can't share them with you at this point. But those are some of the tools that we can use to figure out what our DNA is trying to tell us. Um, they're very, very useful in helping analyze and map the DNA and show you where those chromosomes are that you match certain people. And you can also triangulate and match with a third person or a fourth person or a fifth person and see how strong those genes are, that are coming back up again and again in your family. So we talked about why DNA a little bit. It's for the father's father, going back. Most problems will require more than one tester. STR is the short tandem repeats. This shows the number of times a small section has been repeated at a location. The more of those matches you have, the closer the relationship is. The accuracy improves when you do the 67 points or the 100 marker test. There are at least 18 different haplogroups. Haplogroups are uh, ancient origins, and so it could really tell you, you know, there's a couple of them for England, and you know, they're scattered, and so it's kind of interesting to find out where exactly your ancestors began, and that can help pinpoint farther back in the tree. There's a comparison tool by Dean McGee that's also great at helping calculate the genetic distance to the most recent common ancestor. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Beware, there are back and parallel mutations that can happen that can cause results to be off, but these things don't happen very often. They're kind of rare. Mitochondrial DNA follows the maternal line, like I said before. Men and women can test because everybody has mitochondria in their cells that we get from our mothers. So if a man's trying to do it and find out more about his father's side, he's not going to find out anything about his dad's side because his dad's mitochondrial DNA went with him. It wasn't passed on. This is passed on from women to their children. Haplogroups are similar to the Y-DNA, but they're named differently due to earlier testing. There's a coding region and a control region in the mitochondria. Please keep the coding region private. That has a lot of information that really should not be out in public, because that can cause problems for people. So it's encouraged to keep coding region private. Heteroplasmy is when changes happen in the mitochondria at a more rapid rate, and therefore sometimes those can be dismissed in a lot of cases. It's recommended to do the mitochondrial DNA test first, and then do the whole sequence test later with just the matches that you match. Okay, and so that's what I had for you tonight. DNA testing can help us overcome brick walls with traditional research and the DNA. It can help solve adoption, parentage questions, discover our ethnicity, discover ancient ethnic groups and heritage, and discover new family members. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, of course, please feel free to email me at the email address on the screen. And I will, of course, answer and in a video, or if you want to have it kept private, I will just respond in an email. All right. Thanks so much for joining me this evening, and we'll talk again soon.